Welcome to Worker Ministries, where we promote the Christian work ethic throughout the world. Founded in 2001 by educator and author Jim Hogsett, Worker Ministries believes the answer to unemployment and unsatisfying employment is following the principles outlined in the gospel of Jesus Christ. We carry out our mission through Jim's book, A Worker Need Not Be Ashamed, through our website, workerministries.com, through YouTube video presentations, and through Jim's speaking engagements at conferences and churches throughout the country. Through Operation Uplift, Worker Ministries provides assistance to the homeless and unemployed in New York City, Memphis, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles, California. Now with another inspirational and informative message, Jim Hogsett.
I began this afternoon by asking this question. Have you ever heard a person say, boy, if I'd only done this, if I could only go back in my life and do this, if I could just live my life over? Perhaps you're one of those individuals. And if you're one of those blessed souls that has never found your real purpose for living, your calling, you very well may be saying, if I could only live it over. Now, Satan is ready to interrupt me. Satan is ready to intercept this communication and tell you, don't listen to this guy because you're just too old. You've already lived your life. Don't worry about the future because callings are for young folks. That's the voice of Satan. And I'd like to tell Mr. Satan this afternoon, get behind me. Get behind me, Satan. Because no one, absolutely no one, is ever too young or too old for calling from our Creator. This message is for everyone. But I do want to pay special attention to a certain segment of our population called senior citizens. And you'll see why as we proceed through the information that I want to share with you. I began, first of all, by looking at some sound bites from the current culture in which we live. And these sound bites are going to sound very familiar. Because you see, this culture that we're in constantly dwells on providing poison to the minds of workers in this country. Here's my first example. See if this sounds familiar. Make as much money as you can and you'll be able to retire early. You'll be able to hang it up and you'll be able to play golf as much as you'd like. After all, you deserve it. I'm sorry, but I have a late news bulletin. We don't deserve anything except hell itself because we're all sinners. My response to such a statement is, it is a lie straight from Satan. I mean, I even, the only reason why I have a heartbeat is because of the grace of God. Otherwise, I should be dead and in hell right now. We don't deserve anything. So please let's stop believing we deserve anything on this earth. Anything we have is a blessing from God. And it's strictly on loan to us, that blessing. After all, I've never seen a Brinks truck behind a hearse on the way to the cemetery. And as for retiring early, I'm going to tell you something that's very unpopular in our country. In fact, what I'm about to say may cause you to cut off my message. Please don't. Please stay tuned. You may learn something. Ready for the message? Hold on to your seat. Retirement is not in the vocabulary of God. Go to His book. Go to the Bible. Show it to me. Just one place, and I'll give you an all-expense-paid trip to the beach of your choice. It's not there. Because that is not God's plan for your life, retiring on Him. It's simply not there. God didn't send us to this earth to sit down and watch Oprah Winfrey every afternoon. He sent us here for a purpose regardless of our age. He didn't send us here to play golf all day. You see, in a world going to hell in a handbasket, we're to be about our Father's business, helping to build His kingdom. And He's going to hold us responsible for that responsibility. Now, let me be crystal clear. There's nothing wrong with resting. Jesus rested. There's nothing wrong with taking time out to watch a clean program on television. There's nothing wrong with going on a vacation. Rest is not the issue, but retirement is. However, the subject of retirement deserves a further explanation because you see, people do retire from companies. I retired from a company, but I did not retire from life. That's the key point I want you to get. I didn't retire from life. I was eagerly awaiting another calling from God, and He sent it. He sent Worker Ministries. He enabled me to be able to create what we call Worker Ministries. And God is also providing me with excellent health as we conduct this ministry. So please understand that you can have more than one calling in life. Just because you retire with some organization or some company doesn't mean that you're to retire on Him. How dare we retire on a holy God who has made us for a purpose, and more than one purpose. And I want to give you a second lie straight from the mouth of the devil. Our culture provides senior citizens with this lie, and that is when you reach your retirement age, you're supposed to go and crawl up in a corner, just collect your Social Security, keep your mouth shut, and wait for the hearse to pick you up. That's the culture we live in, ladies and gentlemen, and senior citizens in particular. I hope you're listening to me. There's no need to deny this truth. This is why many businesses refuse to hire senior citizens. You see, the mentality of the managers of these businesses says, well, senior citizens have done their duty. They don't have anything else to contribute. And after all, since they're getting older, they're going to cost us more in the way of medical insurance and medical coverage. So they simply discriminate. Now, they will not tell you they are discriminating. Oh, no, because you see, there is a such thing as EEO, and that's the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission that is supposed to protect folks from discrimination. But on the other hand, on behalf of EEO, I will say that it's difficult sometimes to really determine these cases because, as one person said, he was a human resources manager, he says, when you send your resume to me, all I have to do is throw it in file 13, meaning his trash can. It can be that kind of undermining thing that takes place under the table, and it does every day in this country of America. But on the other hand, thank God for those few businesses which do hire older workers. You see, they're smart. You know why they're smart? Because they recognize that senior citizens have something that others don't have. It's called experience, and it's very valuable. And not necessarily a senior citizen by age definition. It may be the person who's 40 years old, 45, 50. These folks have experience. A couple of examples I've jotted down. One is Delta Airlines. I always enjoy flying with Delta Airlines because I see so many people in their, late 40s, 50s, 60s, all age brackets. And they're providing to me such professional service, God bless them. And then one of my favorite, in fact, my favorite. How about Chick-fil-A? Well, with the Christian heritage there that was founded on, this should be no surprise. But there's another business. They wouldn't dare discriminate against anybody because they know that discrimination is wrong. It's wrong. And then there's a third lie. Some individuals have told me that older workers need to go ahead and hang it up, quit their jobs, so those jobs can be given to the young people. Excuse me. You mean to tell me that the way we're to solve the unemployment problem in America is simply to rob from Peter to pay Paul? Are you kidding? Taking away a job from a hardworking person, giving it to an unemployed person who can also be a hardworking person, but they are unemployed. I want to tell you, that ain't the answer. Excuse my English, but that ain't the answer to improving our economy. It is a responsibility of the United States federal government, regardless of who's in power, all parties included, to establish the right conditions in which businesses can operate and open up additional jobs. And that includes bringing businesses back to America that went overseas because of something called NAFTA. That's the solution. Don't let's go around the problem. Let's get to the solution. The solution is not putting senior citizens on the street just to give a job to somebody else. And I must tell you that many older workers have actually come to believe the lies that I've shared with you today. What a shame. See, they believe because enough people have told them so, they ain't worth nothing. Excuse my English. Let me interrupt this presentation to bring you a late news bulletin. As long as you and I are breathing, no matter what your age is, no matter what my age is, your Creator, that's God Almighty, places a high value on you. When He made you, He didn't make any junk. So let's get rid of the noise that's coming from our culture and focus on working as unto the Lord. Now, I just said something. Working as unto the Lord, exactly what does that mean? It means you're working for Him. What does that mean, Jim? It means He's the ultimate one to whom you report. Well, what's the big deal about that? Because He never fires you. Oh, that's refreshing. You mean I can work for someone who will never fire me? That's exactly right. His name is God Almighty. It's my sincere pleasure to say that. God never places you on layoff. He is your ultimate employer. He may not be the one who hands you the paycheck, but that's secondary. God is your ultimate employer, and He is perfect in all things, and that includes how He blesses you. Isn't that a blessing just to be able to say that and understand that? So please, let's get rid of the cobwebs in our brains, please, caused by lies being told about this critical subject. Let's understand the truth according to His Word and get to work. Jesus said, the harvest is great, the workers are few. It's time to join together, my friends, join together and get to work, regardless of the echoes that are coming from the chambers of Satan. Now, when I speak of your next calling, please keep in mind that I'm referring to a calling that relates not only to your work, where you earn a paycheck, but also to your work in the house of the Lord. I can never forget that. I totally, completely, and consistently emphasize that. Because I know of churches that are having difficulty getting enough teachers to teach and train our young people. And yet those who refuse to take that kind of assignment are the very ones who often complain about the world's going to hell in a handbasket. The world's going to hell in a handbasket. Well, is that right? I believe I understand that. But I also understand something else. While the church does not take the place of godly parents, the church complements godly parents. If you have godly parents raising those children in the way of the Lord, and they take them to a Bible-believing church, then that church complements the training of that child. But Lord, help us if they take that child to the church and there's no teacher for them. God help us. And I know of churches in which older workers have also decided to retire as Sunday school teachers or as members of the choir or whatever the assignment. One worker actually said to me in my own church, well, you know, I've done this, this person's a Sunday school teacher. Well, I've done this for 30 years, and it's now time for the young people to take over. And so they retire on the Lord, thinking that they have fulfilled their obligation. Mission accomplished. The mission is never accomplished. Excuse me, you have fulfilled your obligation? No, absolutely no. There's no such thing as filling your obligation to the extent that you would walk away from the Lord's job assignment. When you do, you've not fulfilled it, regardless of how long you've been doing it. My, how that conniving Satan places such evil thoughts in our minds. I cease to be amazed. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of your age or status in life, it's never too late to seek God's call for your life and to serve Him. Never too late. You know, when I speak on a subject like this, I always love to share examples. And I love to share those examples when I'm writing the monthly newsletter that we publish each month. We write a monthly newsletter that's emailed to close to 10,000 folks each month. I want to share a couple of those newsletters with you. I'm going to read the newsletters to you that I wrote, and I want you to listen closely to the life of those concerned. They're my favorite monthly newsletters. And this one I wrote for the publication in August of 2013, August 2013. Listen to the message. I've been extremely pleased to have been exposed to the life of 86-year-old Millie Jordan. And what a life. While in her early 20s, Millie earned a degree in music and then continued to study at Juilliard until she met her future husband, which resulted in parking her music on the shelf while she raised 4 children. 30 years ago, her husband left her, and she immediately knelt and asked God to show her His will for her life, and He answered her prayer. She says, I had a dream of young men reaching through prison bars, and when she awakened, she remembered that she had received a call 2 years earlier from an individual at Western Youth Institution near Morganton, North Carolina, asking if she would start a music program there. And so suddenly, Millie found herself calling this facility, which is home to young people whose crimes range from murder to rape. I said, this is Millie Gordon. And the man that had called me said, well, are you ready to start the music program? And I said, you mean in 2 years you haven't found anyone? And he said, nope, I guess we've been holding it for you. That's how it all began in 1983. Millie runs the choir, teaches music, and recruits senior citizen volunteers to teach others art classes like creative writing and drawing. She teaches 3 classes a day, about 10 people in each class, and each class is conducted for 3 months, and everyone in Millie's classes has requested to be there. The story of Millie Gordon has lessons which should bring music to our ears. When there is an abrupt interruption in one's life, such as a job loss or loss of a spouse, never give up. It becomes the perfect time to seek God's will for living a fruitful life. Millie's life clearly illustrates that major callings can come later, and regardless of God's timing, we had better answer to Him without hesitation and without convenient excuses such as the one given by Moses when he was asked to speak to the Pharaoh. And Millie also shows us how to love others and not judge them. She has never asked her students about the crimes that they committed. She says this is the secret to her success with them. And Mrs. Gordon teaches us not to retire on God. In previous newsletters, I have expressed my distaste for senior citizens who hang it up in the name of retirement, which is a secular mindset. It is not in the vocabulary of the God whom we serve. And I wrote further that this lady's calling also shows the very nature of a God who often places us in the most unusual settings, so His will is done on earth as it is in heaven. If someone had told me 20 years ago that I, Jim Hogsett, would create a worldwide ministry that includes going into the streets of New York City, Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, to minister to the homeless through our Operation Uplift, I would have said, are you kidding? Finally, Millie Gordon reminds us of how we can leave a sweet taste in the lives of those whom we serve. She rewards her prison students with a piece of delicious butterscotch candy. Casium Anderson, who's in his 9th month of a sentence for breaking and entering, puts it this way. This is what he said, and this is what I wrote in the newsletter. When you get the butterscotch, you have to say thank you, and you have to say it before you take 2 steps. He says, she did not make this up, we made it up. You have to say it before you can take 2 steps away from her, or you don't get the candy. Because although there are a lot of disrespectful people here, nobody disrespects Miss Gordon. Although Millie rarely hears from her students once they're released, she has no reservations about her calling. She simply says, I turn them over to God and say, He's your child. Now you know what to do. Mrs. Gordon, it is a dedicated Christian like you who continues to motivate me in my own calling to promote the Christian work ethic throughout the world. How refreshing. How refreshing it is to know that there are real people out there serving the Lord, and they have turned their head away from the lies that our culture has produced. How refreshing it is, ladies and gentlemen, listening to this presentation. Finally, I want you to meet a person who paints the full picture of how a godly life is to be lived to the fullest according to God's plan. I know her personally. I know her life, and I know it's had such a profound impact on others that the story of God's plan for her life was recently featured in a North Carolina newspaper. I'm going to read to you the story. Her name, by the way, is E.B. Mary. She loves her job because she loves people. Here is the story straight from that newspaper. E.B., 83, has been a chaplain at a local healthcare center for 8 years. Prior to becoming chaplain, she worked as a nurse at the center for 13 years. And after she had difficulty reading computer screens as a nurse, the health center administrators created the chaplain position for her. God bless him. E.B.'s official title is Director of Spiritual Services. She helps support and comforts the elderly and sick at the center. This can mean something as simple as holding a patient's hand. Christianity is a major part of Miss E.B.'s life. She said that her mission is to share her passion for Jesus Christ with others. The most valuable thing in a person's life, she said, is their soul. And before she worked at the local healthcare assisted living facility, she was a missionary stationed across the globe. She recounted her time in New Guinea by showcasing poster boards filled with pictures of her travels. And the local healthcare center is the only nursing home in the state that's owned by Medical Facilities of North Carolina that has a chaplain. Administrator Thomas Fitzgibbons believes that E.B. is a unique addition at that facility. He says she adds that extra layer of emotional care. Her biggest contribution is Miss E.B. being Miss E.B. This precious servant of the Lord is well known throughout the area in which I live. She once participated in the Christmas parade here, riding on a Corvette through the streets. And a crowd began to mob her vehicle, eager to be in her presence. That was the first time that she realized her popularity. And Mr. Fitzgibbons says that she often speaks at funerals and birthdays and church services as a representative of that healthcare facility. She does not think her popularity is important. She insists that she's only on this earth to help others. I'm really just a servant, E.B. said. That's all I want to be. All I want to be. And Miss E.B. said that she's eager to go to work each day. She says, I get up every morning at 5 o'clock and I'm ready to go. She says it's amazing. And when her patients and their families at the center inquire as to why she works a full-time job at her age, E.B. tells them that she eventually wants to be cared for as a patient herself. E.B. uses experiences from her travels to others as a chaplain. She's encountered many tough circumstances, such as holding a starving Haitian child in her arm. She always can pull from her experiences from her experiences, some way to relate to a situation. That's what Mr. Fitzgibbons said about her. E.B. Mary said the most difficult part of her job is assisting patients whom she calls hard-hearted. 99% of the time, with the Lord's help, I'm able to talk with them. She described her children as one of her greatest life influences. 3 of her 5 children are still alive. One of them decided to become a missionary. Her husband, William, died 24 years ago. She says she meets new people every day on the job. Even when not working, she takes great joy in this. I make a point to make a new friend everywhere I go, she said. And Mary says that she feels blessed to help others. Every day, she said, I see a miracle. Every day, I see a miracle. Mr. Fitzgibbons said, we love her. She continues to be a blessing to us and our residents every day. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of E.B. Mary. I ask you in closing, what is your story? Or in the words of my pastor, how things going for you? Have you found God's calling for your life? Regardless of your age, it's never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late. But today is the day to begin discovering why you were born. Remember, you're no accident. And like E.B. Mary and that precious soul working in that facility, the correctional facility, God made you for a purpose. And when you find that purpose, you will truly have joy in the morning as you awaken to another day in which you can serve God through your service to others. It's never too late. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today at Worker Ministries. Before closing, I want to invite you to visit our website at www.workerministries.com. That's www.workerministries.com. Because you will find many tools, many sources of information that will help you to live the Christian life in the workplace exactly like these folks that I've spoken of, such as Miss E.B. I also hope that you will sign up for receiving the monthly newsletter which I write. It comes out each month. It's emailed to close to 10,000 folks. And all you have to do is send me your email address. Send it to me. That's HogsettJim, HOGSETTJIM, at AOL.com. That's HogsettJim, HOGSETTJIM, at AOL.com, and your address will remain confidential. Also, if you would like for me to speak at your church, if you'd like for me to speak at your Christian education conference or wherever you may be, all you have to do is contact me. The information is on the website as far as contact information is concerned. Thank you again for being with us today. Until we meet again, may the good Lord bless and keep you safe, is my prayer.